Well, I think the concept of inculturation was so much a part of the directory because it grew out of, remember, there was a synod on evangelization. There was a focus under Paul VI on how do you best present the Catholic faith. Well, when it came to the directory, it was clear we somehow have to find a way to take the gospel message, the creed, the received tradition, and present it locally so that it resonates with the culture, it resonates with those who are hearing it locally. I think we would all recognize that there are many cultural contexts receiving the teaching of the church, receiving the teaching of the faith, the gospel in the United States would be in a context very diverse, very different from, say, receiving it and dealing with it in Japan or in the Congo. Different histories, different backgrounds, different cultures. And so that really led to the idea of why not encourage conferences of bishops to develop catechetical materials using the directory, but fully aware of their own context.
So we moved to the cemetery. And that was one of the best classrooms I have ever had, including the University of San Francisco, because the kids were magnificently quiet. They knew where they were. They knew they were sitting on tombstones. And they knew that there was no fooling around in the cemetery. And if they started to say anything that was out of order, we would just go. They got the message. And it was incredible. I'll never forget that. But let me round out now, really. What I learned, and I learned more there, really, than I could ever learn in any university, is that the environment, the way we welcome people, the way we know them by name, the way we respond to their thinking. We know not only what they hear, but what they understood. The need we have of other people to help us. The need we have to attract them. Jesus fed the multitudes, didn't he, before he spoke of the bread of life. So have something good to attract them. You don't always have to give them cookies or bread or candy, as I did in Hunters Point or in Harlem or in Paris. But give them something that is good. And send them home with a feeling of goodness. I hope to see you again. It was good to see you. That to me was essential in catechetics.
One thing, by the way, that I would say that was, to my mind, heavily influential, at least in my own thinking, but I also think that this statement that I'm about to mention, along with Evangelii Nuntiandi, the document of Paul VI on evangelization, was that in Catechesi Tradendae, John Paul writes that one must keep in mind when doing catechesis that to a large degree, many of the learners may not have yet been evangelized. And so I know that influenced my own thinking about adult faith formation and even my own training with others about catechesis for children and adults. namely that one could not presume that one had really gone through a process of conversion, of enlightenment, of coming to some kind of commitment where one says, you know, I freely choose to be a disciple of Jesus. So many Catholics that would engage in adult faith formation would be on a search process, but they probably are they're Catholics anyway, because they are cultural Catholics, because they feared not attending church out of a sense of eternal damnation or doing something wrong. And the whole idea of evangelization is to awaken faith in such a way that a believer freely chooses to be a disciple of Jesus. And then once you have that, you see you have the right platform, the right basis for, in fact, now doing adult faith formation, or for that matter, adolescent catechesis, or even catechesis with children. So those statements, to me, both from Evangelii Nuntiandi, which spelled out that evangelization is really the essential task of the church. And then you saw the development later when you had the second directory for catechesis, where catechesis is now, in fact, placed as a very special moment within evangelization. So what this told us as adult educators, as people working with youth and children, is that everything we do is about always inflaming faith, if you will, sparking it, making it come alive. It's not about transmitting information. It's about somehow helping people to come to grips with who they are and hopefully deciding on their own to be followers of Jesus.